Welcome back. This is The Sit Down, and I'm with Emmy Award-winning comedian, actor, talk show host, and author, Craig Ferguson. Good morning.
Good morning, Isaac. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, man. How are you doing?
Well, you know, I'm okay. I feel vulnerable, but still masculine.
Okay.
So that's a nice combination.
That's my sweet spot. That's where I try to live.
That's kind of where I am a lot of the time these days.
That's a good way to be. That's a good way to be. I just listed like a pretty long laundry list of things that you do.
Yes. All of it is kind of connected to writing, I think. I mean, so I think that's what I would do if they said you can only do one thing.
You would just write. And does that go way back when you were a kid?
Yeah, because even when you're doing, even when you were at school, you had to write, like, John sees a duck. That's it. Isaac sees a horse. Have you ever seen a horse?
Oh, I have, and I've written about it, my friend.
See, you write it down and it becomes true.
That is perfect. No, if there was one job, would that be it? Would it be author? Is that like the one job you'd want to hold on to? Did you have a job maybe back in the day that you really loved, the fondness for scooping ice cream?
I liked being a bartender.
Yeah.
I did like being a bartender. I enjoyed that very much. I think if I could be a writer and a bartender, that would be enough.
You and me, buddy.
Yeah, were you a bartender?
Absolutely.
You look a little like a bartender.
I do a little bit.
You look like a bartender that would be in a better bar where I was a bartender. Like, your bar would have snacks and tapas and stuff, and my bar would be like, we drink whiskey in this bar.
There's a pickled egg, maybe, but nobody touches it.
I'm Mo Sislak, and you're in a proper bar.
I really appreciate that.
I'm just saying.
You also, though, you were a talk show host.
But being a talk show host is kind of like being a bartender. It's really very similar, right? Because now you're a talk show host and you're a bartender. It's the same gig, right?
It is. It's a lot of talking and it's a lot of listening.
Listening and like,
And be like,
oh, really? That's really interesting. And then tell me, so you bought a house? Really? You're the best actor of your generation.
Sorry, you're killing me. I did want to ask these the talk show host, like you're stepped away from it, but it started with David Letterman. Are you guys still in touch?
Oh, we try to get a hot tub once a month. Because Dave is Dave and I are, we stay close. All of the conversations I've had with Dave, I'd say 50%, maybe more of them, are available on YouTube. We talked half a dozen times on the phone. That was it. Listen, I owe everything to him, but we didn't have
There was no hot tub relationship there.
No.
As you do you watch late night, though, now that you've stepped away?
Well, I live in Scotland most of the time, so it's not really there.
It's not really there.
But they have it. I have young kids, so.
You're like, I'm trying to go to bed early. Is there something that, let's just call it what it is. There's not a lot of diversity still, right? There's not a lot of women hosts, especially in those main four that people think about.
Yeah.
Is there somebody you'd love to see kind of step into one of those roles to get the chance that you got?
I always thought, it was funny, I was just talking to my friend Cheryl about this morning. I always thought Aisha Tyler would make a great late night host, and she hasn't done it yet. And I know that Aisha is now directing movies and stuff like that, but I think she'd be great. I'd like to see her do it. You know Aisha?
Yeah, of course.
I think she'd be really good at it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that kind of call out. You also, 2009, you wrote a book that was basically about your patriotism, about why you chose to live here in the U.S., right? And I wanted to ask, 10 years later, does that still hold up? Do you still have those feelings?
Well, things have changed all around. America has changed. I have changed. My definition of patriotism has changed. Do I feel the same as that? I think for the most part, yes.
Yeah?
I think for the most part, with the ideas that I put forward in that book, I can stand by pretty much. Look, the truth is I haven't read it in a long time. But I think so. I mean, I believe in argument and discourse. I believe in the cut and thrust of debate. I think I wrote that book before there was social media and before there was the echo chamber of people yelling at each other the stuff they agree with. So it was a different time. I'm not saying it was better. It was just different. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would write today if I would write it any differently. I don't know.
Do you miss that there's this kind of politics, this conversation? Do you miss, like, would you have liked to have been a part of it? It seems like so many of the late night show hosts now are putting Trump kind of front and center.
Yeah, I actually would not like to do that.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like I just did a stand-up tour of like 60 dates, and I set myself a kind of an academic challenge, if you like, is that I would not talk about politics for the entire length of the show. Not because I don't have political opinions. Of course I have political opinions, but what I thought I would do is I would just see if I could do it. Mm-hmm. If I was doing late night now, I don't know if I would be permitted to make that choice, or even if it would be the right choice. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because I think you kind of get drawn into it. I think late night now is different to when it was when I did it. And I think that's okay.
Right,
things
exactly.
change, you know?
Yeah, like you said before, you're not saying one's better than the other.
No.
It's just that things change. All right, well, let's talk Riding the Elephant.
Okay.
What's in the title, my man?
Well, the first story in the book is about literally a time when I rode an elephant, but it's which I wouldn't do now.
Okay.
Just so as you know, I am aware of the insensitivity of participating in elephant riding, but I wasn't then.
Right.
This was 30 years ago, probably before you were even born.
I appreciate it, though. You slid it in. I appreciate it.
This is my favorite part. So I went on an elephant ride, and it's a story of something that happened to me on that elephant ride, which was a big moment in my life. And also, it's a metaphor for life itself. Mm-hmm. You get on this big grey creature, and you think you're putting in a lot of input, and you're getting it to go where it wants, but it's kind of going where it wants to go.
How much are you actually in
how
control?
much are you in charge? Maybe you're just a hat. You know what I mean?
Just a fancy human hat on an elephant.
You're just a flesh hat for a single-minded pachyderm.
I love it. You also, the subtitle, Altercations, Humiliations, Hallucinations, and Observations.
Yeah, I wanted to also put fabrications on that, but the publisher's like, well, people will think you're lying. I'm like, I am lying. Yeah, but don't tell people.
Oh, man, that's book publishing.
Yeah.
I think you should have stuck to your guns. But let's ask real quick. 4 quick questions.
Yes.
Rapid response.
All right.
Who do you have an altercation with?
I always had an altercation with the sassy robot skeleton on my late night show. We loved each other, but we always fought.
Yeah, off camera, it was just tumultuous.
It was bad. It was like the heady days of when Oasis were together, when the Gallagher brothers were in Oasis. That was, Liam and Noel. That was me and Jim.
Going at each other the second the show was over.
Yeah.
All right, what about one of the humiliations?
Well, I did crap my pants. Just right there when you asked me.
This is one of the humiliations.
That's what you call a coincidence.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you asked me about humiliations, and I just released.
How lucky, actually, though, right? A coincidence, but a lucky one.
Yeah, lucky one. For who?
What exactly did you hallucinate?
Oh, well, I don't know if you can tell this about me, but back in the day, I took a lot of drugs, and I've hallucinated many things. I'm not entirely convinced this is happening. This might be an acid trip that I took in 1986, and I'm still in it.
And it's still happening.
Yeah.
And you're going to actually have to wake up and go to work at the bar.
Well, that's not bad, because then I'd be 24.
You're like, I'd take it.
Okay.
What about, finally, an observation?
I think there are many, but I think the observations, it's a little bit like we were talking earlier. I find that I'm not as much of an asshole as I used to be, I think. Mm-hmm. I'm observing that. I've noticed that when I do stand-up now, I don't want to talk about other people and how their behavior is abhorrent or should be mocked or
pissing you off.
Yeah. It's more about how my behavior is abhorrent and pissing me off and should be mocked. And I think that's maybe one of the benefits of aging. There aren't a whole ton of them. Yeah. Like I say, I just shit my pants, but there are some. I think that you cool off a little bit.
I think that's what we call growth.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's selling out. I don't know.
Oh, don't do that, Craig. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Shitting your pants and all that.
That's all right. We can get it cleaned up.
Yeah, no, we'll get it cleaned up from the next guest. You can grab a copy of Riding the Elephant wherever books are sold. Of course, up next, we've got more AM to DM. Thanks.